Willie D Live.
What's up, family? The Supreme Court just rejected Donald Trump, your president, push to toss a $5 million judgment against him in the E Jean Carroll sexual abuse case. I ain't got no problem with that. Let's get into this article here on PBS. Yeah, fam. There she is right there, the great E Jean Carroll, tucked down the big bad bully. Supreme Court rejects Trump's push to toss $5 million verdict. The Supreme Court on Monday rejected a push by President Donald Trump to throw out a jury's findings that he sexually abused the writer E Jean Carroll at a New York City department store in the mid-1990s and later defamed her. Let's stop right there for a moment, fam. He sexually assaulted her at a department store. You know how bold you have to be. I mean, you can be your regular old sexual assaulter and all that kind of stuff, but to assault somebody at a department store. Anyway, fam, the High Court declined to take up the case in a brief, unexplained order, as is typical. Trump's lawyers had argued that allegations leading to the $5 million verdict were propped up by highly inflammatory evidentiary rulings, including those that allowed the testimony of two other women who accused Trump of sexual abuse decades ago. Trump has denied all three women's allegations, not surprisingly. Trump's attorneys argued the judge broke federal evidence rules in the case. They framed it as a distraction from Trump's unique duties as president, though the verdict came before his return to the White House. This treatment of a president cannot be allowed to stand, Attorney Justin D. Smith wrote in court documents. Trump has since nominated Smith to be an appeals court judge. Did you hear that, fam? Trump has since nominated Smith to be an appeals court judge. A guy who's fighting against justice is going to be an appeals court judge. The President of the United States has nominated a guy who is fighting against justice for a sexual abuse victim to be a Supreme Court appeals judge. Well, not a Supreme Court, but an appeals court judge. The decision comes as the court hands down opinions in the biggest cases of the term, many key to Trump's agenda. Trump has publicly vented his frustration with the Supreme Court losses in highly personal terms before, including unusual and highly personal criticism when the majority struck down global tariffs he imposed under an emergency powers law. Carroll's lawyers had urged the justices to pass on the case. They argued that the women's testimony was relevant because the allegations were similar, and Judge Lewis Kaplan's decisions were in line with others around the country. This question is not worthy of review, wrote attorney Roberta Kaplan, who is not related to the judge. Carroll, a longtime advice columnist and former TV talk show host, testified at a 2023 trial that Trump turned a friendly encounter in spring 1996 into a violent attack in the dressing room at Bergdorf Goodman, a luxury retailer across the street from Trump Tower. The jury also found Trump liable for defaming Carroll when he denied her allegation in 2022. The Associated Press does not identify people who say they have been sexually assaulted unless they come forward publicly, as Carroll has done. A jury also awarded Carroll an additional $83.3 million After a second defamation trial, Trump is also appealing that ruling, though it is not yet before the Supreme Court. Trump has successfully fended off other hefty court judgments, including a New York civil fraud penalty of over $500 million thrown out by the New York Appeals Court. The Supreme Court also granted him broad immunity from prosecution in 2024, though it had later narrowly rejected the bid to halt sentencing in the New York hush money case. And there you have it, fam. Trump at it again. His what we call his minions at it again. Trump was being proactive by nominating these judges because he knew he was going to need them. He saw so many cases coming up against him, civil cases and criminal cases. So what he did is he just stacked the deck with his own nominees. He put these guys in position, and by him putting them in position, they felt some type of loyalty to him, not to the Constitution, not to Americans, not even to their own family name, to Trump. And therein lies the problem. United States, we got a major problem. Our politicians have been bought out. Our judges have been bought and paid for. Our prosecutors bought and paid for. You know, it's rare that you would find a judge or a prosecutor or even a politician who hasn't been paid off. We're on our own. Now, before you get too excited about the Supreme Court, now remember, this is the same Supreme Court that just approved these major food companies to sell us fake meat and produce. Did you hear me, fam? Lab-grown meat and produce. They just approved it. This is the same Supreme Court. So it's like what they try to do is like something that's really insignificant, but you know, it's more like an optical type thing. You know, it's a victory nonetheless. They go, okay, we'll give y'all that, and then they go and they'll do something totally destructive to the American people. The Supreme Court cannot be trusted. The Supreme Court has been compromised. Yeah, fam, it's been compromised. We're in trouble. We are in big trouble. And in a few months, we're going to see how big that trouble is because the midterms are coming. And Trump has done everything he can to suppress voters. He's done everything he can to stop the elections from happening. He's been throwing everything up against the wall, trying to make something stick, because he knows if the midterms take place fair and square, the Republicans are going to get washed out. They are going to get destroyed. And the party can only blame Trump. But now I take that back. They can't just blame him. They can blame themselves too because they allowed it. They could have had the foresight to say, this dude is problematic. Yeah, you know, he got a lot of people on his side and all that stuff. A lot of the people, citizens are supportive of him and all of that kind of stuff. But we got the power to do something about that. They could have gotten together and said, look, man, and pleaded their case, look, man, we can't let this dude. Yeah, he got a lot of power, but he got too much power. We can't allow one person to have that kind of power. He got these people pretty much brainwashed. If we let him in, he's going to be criminal. He's going to be public enemy number one. And look, when he get through going after the Democrats, he's going to come for us. Any of us who have an opinion, any of us who have a different view than he does, we're vulnerable. He's going to come after all of us. So what we need to do is stick together so that that doesn't happen. But see, that's too much like right. And those Republicans over there who try to act all hard, they're too soft. They are weak. You got to be super weak to let one man have that much power. All those Republicans over there that talk tough, that act like they in control, they're that until they start talking about Trump. Then it's all the credit goes to Trump. Mr. President, they just be, they be swinging from his disco balls. All of them. Governors, senators, state reps, well, not all of them, but most of them. I'm talking about damn near all of them. Like when it comes to Trump, they have no power. They have no heart, no integrity. Trump do them any kind, they let Trump treat them any kind of way. Man, how you gonna be a man? Let's take away the power that you have in office. Let's take away the political power and just talk about the man himself. Let's just talk about the individual. How could a man let another man handle him like that? Fam, I don't want that kind of power. I don't care about power that much. I don't care about money that much. Where another man reduced me to being a flunky. But what say you, fam? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. No more talk.